Death Grips review here. Bottomless Pit. It's finally here. I've been waiting about a year for this to be released, so now that I can finally breathe a sigh of relief, and not just the fact that it's released, but the fact that, yet again, they've done it. Okay, so for those who aren't in the know, Death Grips are a experimental hip-hop / punk / crazy group from Sacramento, comprising of Zach Hill on drums, Ride / Stephen Burnett on vocals, and Andy Morin, who basically does everything else. And since their inception in 2010 or 11, I can't remember which, they've developed this cult following and have had a remarkably consistent discography, releasing a record every single year, and every single year it's brilliant. And in 2012 they released 2 albums, The Money Store and No Love Deep Web, which I've kind of obscured slightly because of the phallic imagery on the cover there. They kind of have a love-hate relationship with their fans, releasing their music for free before the official release, whilst also cancelling tour dates, and they really like defying expectations and just doing whatever they feel like doing, including releasing their second album, No Love Deep Web, against their label's wishes, and subsequently being dropped by the label. Also being attached to a massive North American tour with Soundgarden and 9 Inch Nails, they decided to break up. Although that breakup didn't last very long, because, well, here they are again with a new record. So the record begins with giving bad people good ideas. As soon as this track began, I was kind of, well, I didn't really know what to expect, because it begins with a refrain sung by a woman. People good ideas, I keep giving bad people good ideas. As soon as that finishes, it goes abruptly into this unrelenting, just so fucking punk blast beat. They've taken what they did on Jenny Death, the second part of The Powers That Be, right here, the double album they released last year, and they've taken it to a higher level that I previously thought was unimaginable. Oh my god, I love that riff, which plays with a kind of a really super distorted bass, and then you hear it on guitar. It kind of has a slight black metal sound, and I know that there's blast beats in it, but it was more just the atmosphere of it which brought me to that comparison. It kind of reminded me slightly of something the Mighty Boosh would have done, especially in the chorus. I want you the next time, it doesn't sound so bad when I say it in my mind. It sounds a little bit like Nanageddon. Satan's coming to London town, Satan's evil in a nylon gown, evil caked, spirally eggs, Nanageddon coming with an evil in a whip. To me, lyrically, it sounds like a junkie talking about him helping to line the pockets of his dealer, but I don't know, I'm probably wrong, but based on the fact that Death Grips typically talk about kind of pretty bleak subject matter, this wouldn't really surprise me if this was indeed the topic at hand. Especially with the lyrics, unwell, out, my slit gashes tempo, I'm crawling with swarming crescendo. That's Shakespeare, that is. Euphoria follows puke. Then we have Hothead, which, I don't know, is probably my least favourite track. It takes a lot from Government Plates, which is my least favourite Death Grips album. But at one point it sounded a little bit like Muse, with the drum rattles and the kind of the synth going. The track is pretty obviously, about just putting us in the mindset of someone who is completely insane, as Death Grips tend to do, and making reference to how a lot of their fan base can be particularly irritating and obsessive, which just plain old ticks right off. I love the comparison of their music to Ebola though, how there's little in the way of info regarding the progress of the project, and all of a sudden it suddenly explodes after announcements in this kind of viral capacity, like a huge outbreak. Then we have Spikes, which has an incredibly intriguing instrumental which sounds a bit like a punk track, kind of similar to Giving Bad People Good Ideas, but played with synthesizers. I have no idea what the song's about, but some of the lines are great. Jizz, snowman. Cool. You see, Warping, the next track, is a really interesting one. It's one of the more conventional tracks on the record. Lyrically, this has some of my favourite lines. Nah, man, I don't feel this. And I shit on your guilt trip, then extinguish your illness. Like 7 grams of Thorazine, tyrannic authority, cleansed by your aggressor. Inhuman elitist, decline your surrender. Sign of a freak, thriving on a bender. Forbidden discipline, all lines disconnected. Vacated premises, occupied by my death wish. Again, I've no idea what this track is about, but the chorus used a warped record as a metaphor for a degrading mind, and I thought that was quite a brilliant idea. Falling out of tune at my grooves, I'm warping. All I do is lose my form. Warping. The next track, is a far more radio-friendly sound, with Ride actually rapping for a change, such as the last track, Warping. It reminds me a little bit of tracks like Get Got, but it has a little bit more of an Aphex Twin vibe to it, which I really enjoyed. I feel like this track is talking about Ride's indifference and apathy towards everything regarding the cult status of the group. And it's just gotten to a point where he just doesn't care. But then we have Bubbles buried in this jungle. Ooh. This song is my favourite on the record. By quite some distance. The beat is so crooked and ugly, but at the same time, it's so sublime. The bass sound in it kind of sounds like a lawnmower, and it really wouldn't surprise me if Andy Morin had actually manipulated the sound of a lawnmower outside whilst they were recording. Someone was, I don't know, the next door neighbour was mowing the lawn going, and he thought, oh, that'd be so cool, let's like, yeah. Again, I can't make heads nor tails of the track, lyrically, but if any of you have any ideas, then let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear your extrapolations. But again, this feels more like a conventional rap song. Also, that bit just before the hook. Pretty formula never amuses me, fuck if I ever let a bitch get used to me. And then we have the next track, which shows the group going even more conventional, to the point where the instrumental is pretty conventional. For Death Grips, anyway. See, I could see Danny Brown on this beat. I think the conventional beat and flow of Ride's vocals are intentional, as the song is kind of talking about the monotony of the music industry, and just the kind of the industrial machine of it all, being like a landfill with more and more nonsense being piled and piled atop each other over the crap that's already present. Then we have Houdini. Now, I get the impression that this is criticising men who follow fashion trends and spend most of their time in the mirror doing their hair and what have you, and spending their time going to clubs, sleeping with random women. Fuck, is that a hairstyle? This asshole be at Pussy Church! I think it's pretty self-explanatory that a pussy church is indeed a club. I mean, it makes sense. And this instrumental sounds like it could have fit perfectly on No Love Deep Web. And, I love the line, ever met a prick in a metro trip, get his hair did like a discotheque. Then we have Baby Poison. Although the lyrics say obey me poison, I love the instrumental. It has this synth blast, which sounds sort of like a sci-fi gun that fires lasers. Sort of from, I don't know, Star Wars or something. That super distorted riff that comes in is just excellent. And I mean, it seems to be about the relationship with the fans. But the next track, 3 Bedrooms in a Good Neighborhood, feels like it's becoming clear that they're going down a more accessible and traditional hip-hop route, but in their own way, which they've been experimenting with quite consistently throughout this record. This track feels very Money Store inflected, and a good portion of the tracks here have a trap influence, such as this one. I suspect that the track is about debauchery. I expect the track is about debaucherous sexual exploits, but I don't know, I may be wrong there. However, Ring a Bell has some excellent satirical lyricism about the whoredom of the music industry, and how much someone will do just to make it. I don't think the lyrics are meant to be taken literally. I think this kind of very sexual imagery is metaphorical. I don't think they're just being really straight here, going, yeah, she likes to suck dick, because I think Death Grips are a more intelligent group than that. But that chorus, with the 80s rock guitar lead after a minute or so of abstract electronics, is so unexpected, but so perfect when it's side by side with Ride's surprising melodic chorus, which is kind of on the verge of singing. 80808 reminded me a little bit of Kraftwerk. It does kind of sound similar to Trans Europe Express, particularly, where you have that sound going. There's the kind of the Doppler effect. Similarly, with a lot of the lyrics here, I don't understand a word that's being said here in terms of the meaning. I mean, I can tell what the lyrics are, but I've no idea what the underlying message of the song is. And then finally, we end on Bottomless Pit, the title track, which wouldn't sound out of place on Johnny Death. It's a straight up punk track, but the lyrics, again, I don't know. It looks like it's about brutal sexual violence, but I'm not sure. I mean, I assume that there's a hidden meaning in there, but I can't find it. If you know, again, let me know, because more often than not, I've no idea what Ride is talking about. But I like the element of mystery. It's something that Death Grips has in spades, but it's something that I really appreciate, because I don't want everything to have answers. I'd like there to be some deal of mystery in there. I mean, all in all, this is probably Death Grips' most immediate album. The tracks are so straight to the point, and not a single track goes past the 3-minute mark. And the album itself is just under 40 minutes, so it really doesn't outstay its welcome. And that's a good thing, I guess, but I kind of felt slightly underwhelmed by the record. I wanted more from it, and I don't know, maybe I've just been spoiled with the powers that be, with, twice the amount of music, but I don't know, I really have no reason to complain, really, because we've gotten an album once a year from these guys, and it's always stellar. So if I have a few nitpicks, then it's not really justified. Aside from the tracks Hothead, which just seemed too ridiculous for me. I think that this record is pretty great, and it sits there perfectly with the rest of Death Grip's material and cements their reputation as one of the best and most important and boundary-pushing acts in music today. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. If you liked it as much as me, let me know. If you didn't like it as much as me, let me know. If you liked it more than me and want to call me a fag, cool. So, yeah. Bye-bye, and stay noided.